Long-term care is a phrase that often conjures up images of nursing homes and cold, impersonal medical institutions. But long-term care doesn't have to look like that. In the mountains of Taichung, a small community is pioneering a different kind of care for the elderly that lets people age with dignity right at home. Carers in the program provide personalized attention and everyday support. Their care is so effective, it's brought a pneumonia patient on his deathbed back to health. In this first part of a two-part series, we go to this small mountain village to see how it all works. Our Sunday special report.
For 5 days a week, Lolu village in Taichung's Heping District comes alive with the friendly bickering of older adults. Their families are busy with work and are unable to take care of them. So these dementia patients live at Plahan, a co-living space in the village. Plahan was founded in the summer of 2019 by former Taichung Deputy Mayor Lin Yiying, who had directed an elder care foundation for 10 years. After leaving office, she visited Lolu village and was dismayed by what she saw. Of the village's 1,300 inhabitants, only 7 were using the government's long-term care services.
I found that there were very few caregivers in the village, but everywhere I looked, there were older adults, disadvantaged people, and people with disabilities.
Lolu village is nestled in the mountains of Taichung's Heping District. Most villagers make a living from cultivating persimmons, with a few others growing citrus and guavas. After many years toiling the land, many people end up developing health problems.
We had to separate people with mild and severe conditions. Those with severe conditions were sent to a care institution outside, and those with milder conditions would just go next door and look after one another.
People in need were either sent for care or looked after by others in the community. Other options were limited amid financial hardship, youth migration, limited adoption of long-term care resources, and a severe shortage of care professionals. In 2018, there were only 5 caregivers in Lolu, all of whom were from out of town. Amid the shortage of labor, funds, and information, and an abundance of people in need, Lin Yiying contemplated how to best help these forgotten older adults age in peace. To start off, she put herself to work in the community as a caregiver.
I've been involved in long-term care for more than 20 years, and I've always thought there was more we ought to do, but I wasn't too familiar with the actual on-site work. Since I was going to get a new job, I thought being a caregiver would be best, because then I'd be able to be on the ground and eventually build on that.
Her work included minding patients' everyday needs, such as going to the toilet. Having a former city official move to the countryside to do this grueling work raised a few eyebrows among locals.
When she arrived, we were shocked. Why would such a high-ranking government official come here with her entire family? We were suspicious that she was just doing it for show. Lin Yiying threw herself into caregiving. Through her actions, she convinced locals to go through training and become caregivers themselves. In the second half of 2019, she founded the Plahan co-living space. Its name comes from the Atayal word for bonfire and prosperity. The name represents her hope of turning Lolu into a warm and prosperous village. At Plahan, Lin Yiying trialed different kinds of long-term care plans. For instance, people with dementia were brought to the space to spend the day together.
Over here, we don't want to say that we're taking care of them. It's more like we're living together. There are many chores, such as sweeping the floors and cooking, that we all do together. We cook together.
Helping around the house and being active in the community can slow down the progression of dementia. To support older adults living at home, Lin Yiying's team developed special rehabilitation programs. Today, 2 nurses have come to visit Lo Yulan, who lives on her own. Lo recently became injured after taking a fall at home. After she was discharged from the hospital, Plahan helped her with recovery. The special rehab program gets the patient to focus on a concrete goal. Then it's all about determination and commitment. For Law, her goal is to recover her mobility.
At Plahan, it's pretty special. Very few institutions are willing to assign people with a nursing background to home care.
At the beginning, nurses had to go to Law's house almost every day. They also had to coordinate shifts and be in touch at all times via an online group. Their help allowed Law set off on a tough journey toward the goal of being able to walk again.
I would grab onto the side of the bed and try stand up. It was so bad. It felt like all the blood was rushing down. So painful.
We gave her a peanut ball. Regular yoga balls are round, but we gave her a very big peanut ball. That way, she could step on it and bounce back to build up muscle.
Members of staff accompany Law on her daily exercises.
Once the wounds heal and she's able to walk, she can support herself and cook for herself. She will feel that she's living with dignity.
With help from the care team at Plahan, Law was able to recover her mobility. As her condition gradually improved, she required less and less help from caregivers. Also in Plahan's experimental rehab program is a patient who needs round-the-clock care. Jiang Ye Gan Mei is in her 80s and Plahan attends to her 24 hours a day. After she went through a surgical amputation, her family decided to have her recover at home. But due to work reasons, her family could not provide sufficient care. Plahan's objective is to improve Jiang Ye's condition so that she does not require 24-hour help. This goal has been achieved before with another member of the community, a man named Lin Boshan. We follow visiting physician Fu Huaguo to Lin Boshan's home in Mihu village. Thanks to a cooperative venture between Plahan and Dr. Fu, Lin Boshan became the first care receiver to leave behind his days of round-the-clock care.
Grandpa Boshan used to have a tracheotomy tube and a nasogastric tube. When he returned home after being in severe condition at the hospital, Plahan took care of him 24 hours a day.
In 2019, a bout of pneumonia sent Lin Boshan to the hospital. After more than a year in and out of medical centers and care homes, he insisted on returning to his home in the village.
When I visited him at the institution, he was attached to a ventilator and had a nasogastric tube. Back then, he couldn't even speak.
I was in the hospital for a year. I couldn't even leave my hospital bed because I was attached to a ventilator. It was very tiring. I couldn't cry, and I couldn't even smile. I was in critical state, and I saw many other older men pass away. I saw them go one by one. I used to think it'll be my turn to go soon.
Lin Boshan was fully aware of his condition, and after lying on a hospital bed for a year and seeing the end draw nearer and nearer, he insisted on spending his final days at home. He was unable to speak and had to use his weakened hands to communicate through writing.
I told my children, if I'm going to die, I'd rather die at home. I want to pass on my own bed and unplug the respirator myself. I don't want to do that anywhere else.
Lin Boshan's family contacted Plahan, which created a care plan so that he could live alone at home with the help of doctors, nurses, and carers.
We held a meeting here back when he was still in the hospital. I discussed with the carers whether we should go learn how to extract phlegm. Nobody had considered we'd be caring for patients with such severe conditions.
I remember the evening he came under my care. It was just after he left the hospital, so we had to extract phlegm and whatnot. Really, we're all quite nervous.
One of the first things they did was train Lin Boshan to swallow once again. Then he started eating liquid foods. After 1 month of round-the-clock care, he was able to remove his nasogastric tube. After 3 months, he removed his breathing tube. From lying sick in bed to standing up and walking around, Lin Bo-shan amazed his carers with what was possible.
Seeing him like that, I felt really glad. We were the ones caring for him. We all felt a sense of achievement.
Lin Bo-shan no longer needs attention 24 hours a day. For now, a carer checks up on him for 1 hour every day, and a doctor visits him just once a month. Though he had originally returned home to die, he ended up returning home to live life and to witness the changing seasons. Plahan has found success after success helping older adults with its experimental care plans, but even so, the foundation has had trouble securing government funding.
Join us next week for part 2 of this report.